Hi everyone, welcome to Tea Bonsai. On today's episode, Peter T is in town, the Austrian Pine and the Trident Maple need a repot. Now, when Peter T comes to town, it's all about Peter and all about the group, our fundamentals group, and listening and soaking in the knowledge from Peter T. Check him out, by the way, on ptbonsai.com, and I'll put a link down there in the description, and you can check out PT Bonsai. So a wonderful teacher, and when he is in town and he's a part of our fundamentals bonsai group, we all listen and work together. We have people that are working, people that are observing. So it's not about me, it's not about Tea Bonsai. So I just quietly take a lot of photographs while I'm there of my work. So not to disturb or to bring any attention other than what Peter's doing. So I take a lot of photographs and we're going to show you those now. So it was the day after the April Fool's snowstorm. We had 9 workers and about as many observers ready to get deep into the tree work and the knowledge from Peter T. Today was time to put the Austrian Pine for me in its first training box and repot my Trident Maple. First up, the Austrian Pine. But before we dig in now, let's go back to the fall of 2022 when this all got started last year with Peter, and we got our imitation Japanese black pine. Why do I say that? Well, so Peter and a couple of our leaders of the fundamental group went shopping for some trees that would act similarly to a Japanese black pine. Since these trees are highly sought after and hard to come by with a reasonable price tag, Peter suggested the Austrian Pine as a secondary option, and that's what they did. They picked up a whole bunch for us to choose from. More hardy to Minnesota, and will kind of act like a Japanese black pine. We scraped away the top layer of the soil to get a better idea of where the nabari was. We also made the decision to make the first major cut to the tree since we knew we'd be cutting it down eventually. After this work, we then left it alone until this very weekend. I needed to get my mammoth Austrian pine out of its nursery pot and into its new growing box. So like with most trees, I started from the top to make sure I knew where the actual root flare was located. After working on the top, I moved to the bottom and slowly worked back up towards the pot. After I got the green light from Peter to us how much soil and roots we took off the bottom, I then focused on making what roots were left to be evenly distributed about 360 degrees around the center of the nabari. Peter had us also bare root about 25% of the root ball, and in this case in the front of the tree, and we left the rest of that soil for future repots. It's recommended by many, including Peter, to slowly get rid of that nursery soil instead of all at once. The box I had made for this tree was way too big, and I would have wasted a ton of soil. A good buddy from the Minnesota Bonsai Society, Nick, and I made a trade. He got some soil from me, and I got a smaller box that would be a perfect fit. I tied down the tree with a 5-point tie system. I'll show you that soon on a future video. All that was left to do was to fill it in with soil, tamp it on down, and give it its first major watering. We decided to leave the trees alone at this stage, for now, and let it start to push out some growth for this entire year. I'm still a little tempted though to just cut a few top branches off to allow a little more light through to the lower sections of the trees, which will become the primary branches. We'll see. It was a pretty straightforward repot. The soil came out nice. I have a lot of roots. We got it to the size we needed and I got it in the pot. Everything was good. I'm really happy. I'm still itching to cut a couple of the thicker parts up top. There's a lot of thickness up top and I don't want that blocking all the sun, so we may head out and do just a couple of chops before this very video is done. We'll see. So next up, I had to dig into my Trident Maple. Now this tree already has a couple of stories, and the first one was just simply working with Peter T. You see, when you work with Peter T, you chop things down to the bare minimum. Peter had said, if you're all willing to trust me, you can go ahead and bare root your trees. And we did. I did. I bare rooted this thing, and with his support, we got rid of over 90% of the roots in the branching. Gone. Look at this image. It scares a lot of people. My trust in Peter paid off. Look at the growth it put on the next summer. We did some fall work to the tree and set it up for another spring push. However, I've had critter issues, and they had some other ideas for the tree, and so whatever we left on with some wiring and a couple of branches, they chewed right back down, so I had, yet again, a stick in a pot for year 2. The roots weren't touched, of course, so I was really excited to see how that was going to come out. Trident maples have a ton of energy and put out a lot of growth and regenerate a lot of roots every year very easily, so I've not been too concerned to this point. So after another year of growth and the critter chew and everything, here's what my Trident looked like last fall 2022. At the workshop, now it was time to repot. Wow! I mean the roots! Oh my gosh, 2 years of roots, look at these. We were told we could leave our maples in a box for 1 more year, but I was itching to check out these roots and I wanted to put it in its first training pot other than a box. Yeah, there's my patience, I still need work on that. As you can see though, I had plenty of roots. These roots grew right through the sheetrock tape and down the cracks of the wood pot so thick, I mean, I really had a tug to break them away. Then what? You got it. I trimmed back with Peter's blessing almost as much as the original root prune. Unfortunately, we didn't get roots on the weak side that we tried 2 years ago, but with the callousing that formed, Peter is hopeful we can grow some new roots there this year. I decided to put it into a plastic training pot and got it all situated for another year of growth. You'll also notice here with the Trident Maple, Peter suggested that I scar some of the old wounds, and so we'll have more healing and more wrapping around of the callousing. So those scars will heal if we let the tree grow out on its own. I'm expecting to see as much root growth in the next couple of years with this Trident, and then the new flush of growth this year will let it grow wild, heal all those wounds that we scarred up, and we'll have a beautiful tree someday, right? The tree has a really strong nabari. It's a nice look around the base of that tree. Now we have to start working on the top of the tree, so it's going to be exciting. With Peter's guidance, I'm confident the tree is going to look nice down the road. So there we have it, 2 trees repotted, the Austrian Pine, and we also got the Trident Maple taken care of, all after that big April Fool's snowstorm. It was great to be with everybody and get some work done. Before we finish up this video though, let's go take a peek at the trees right now and see where they're at. So here are the trees from the Peter T workshop. We've got the Trident Maple in its pot. So we have our nice nabari on this side. We're going to try to see if we can get some growth on this side. We've got all our new buds slowly creeping out. Spring has been taking so long to actually get here. When will I bring it outside? That remains to be seen. But here we're going to let all of this grow up wild to correct some of these scars, fix some of that. We'll put this one aside and look at the pine now. So let's give the pine a 360-degree turn. This is the proposed front. I think I put it in a little bit off-centered from where I wanted, or a little bit not twisted. Peter and I were considering this branch. What are we going to do with this bottom branch? It's pretty low on the tree, but we have a really nice fat nabari down here. I might put a little bit more soil on top here, but this one we're going to keep for now. And has this nice little subtle curve this way, and this is kind of on the outside of a curve, and then it bends in this way. So there's that curve right there. And so I don't know if I twist it more this way or twist it more, I don't know which way I'm going to twist it more. This branch could come off right here because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 branches from this spot. This would be a knuckle right in here. And this will get rid of the interference of seeing the tree from the front. So we'll decide that here probably by the end of this year. But now the height of the tree, we probably are going to make a chop right around here. So we have the tree that curves back over here, comes this way, and comes a little bit this way, and then we're going to chop it right where my hand is. So let's 360 it for you. There's some fun movement right there. And if we cut this off right here, this becomes a good potential leader right here. And you can see this branch right here. Look at that, bends right back on itself. New growth there. Look, we have a new bud right in here. Look at that one right there. That could become new, and if we get rid of all this top, will that curve on up and grow upright? But we have this thick section up here where there's like 2 whorls really close together. So as I finish the spin around, you can see the top is thick. Got a little open section right here. Not sure what we're going to do with this one, but I do have my concaves, and let's get rid of just a couple of branches so this thing can get a little bit more sunlight down below. So if I'm looking at the front of the tree, it's right around here. This one's coming right at me. And even though that's going to be chopped off one day, there we go, we cut a branch off. I just feel better already. So there's all kinds of branching in here. Look at this. I mean, you got 1, 2, 3 from the same plane, 4, 5. There's just so much going on here. And you know what? We're going to chop all these off. I want energy to the tree, but I don't want this much. This one's growing down and being blocked. That one doesn't need to be there. And so again, if that's kind of the front of the tree, we got 3 coming from this area. Let's just cut that off. We got 2 of these going the same direction. 3 back here. 1 going downwards here. So there, I just cut off 5 branches. And now we can see the top of this tree. This one's growing up. We'll just let all the energy now go down through the tree a little bit more, and we'll see what can happen. Got a really fun curlicue branch in here. Look at this. It just curls up back around this way. It's a little weak one though, because there's no light getting through there, right? So we did agree to leave most of these trees alone, but I wanted to make a couple of cuts on top just to thin that out a little bit and let the light and energy get down a little bit further, and we'll see if we get more back budding this early season. It's first time in a training pot with bonsai soil. So that is going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. We've got the Austrian Pine and the Tridents all set up for another great year. And, is spring here yet? Can we put trees out? Well, we're going to have to show you on another episode. Hey, take care of you. Take care of your bonsai. And we'll catch you on the next one.